Portuguese speakers! Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that bothers a lot most of my students, or at least the ones who are beginning, which is to be able to read and sound properly once you actually look at the words. Even words you don't yet, you haven't seen yet, you don't know yet, but being able, having this ability to look at a word and knowing what it will sound like. When you look at the foreign languages, some letters sound different than others. For example, in English, the L will always sound like O, and in Portuguese, sometimes it will sound like W, and sometimes A in English will be A or E or E, and in Portuguese we have like A for this letter. So there are some little differences that we are going to tackle right now, so that you can read more confidently, not be so self-conscious while reading. And well, let's go. Let me help you out. Today I chose a word that I love to make my students say, which is dirigir. For me, it was really funny to actually figure out that this is a difficult word for you guys to say, dirigir. And it's because it's not intuitive at all. When you look at this word, the I's, like you look at how is the I going to sound, how is the R, how is the G, how is the D going to sound. Everything is not intuitive for you. So I'm going to show you how it is intuitive for us. So when you are reading these particular syllables, you can actually figure it out super quickly. So, bora lá. Dirigir sounds with D-I, which in Portuguese, when you have D-I one after the other there, it's going to sound like G. Dirigir, diferente, distante, pedido. I want to make it clear. What I am teaching you is about my accent. My accent is mixed with like Curitiba and São Paulo, and depending on who you talk to, they might say dirigir, and it's not wrong, but I just wanted to say it's just not wrong. It's the way I teach, dirigir, and you'll probably see that a lot on all kinds of entertainment.
Daí uma coisa que eu sempre fiz bem, dirigir.
Brazilian entertainment, or people who talk to you. You might hear them saying dirigir or dirigir. Both are just correct. Since we are talking about the letter I, this is really important because you make a huge deal out of words who have I in them in Portuguese, when actually they are the easiest. The I doesn't change. It never changes. For example, in English, it does. Since you have one sound, idea, you have another sound. Important is the same sound. Like for someone who's learning English, why is not I important, you know? So in Portuguese, it's always the same. For example, idea, we write almost the same. And then when you look at this word, because we add another I, it's really confusing. Like how are you going to say the other I when actually you just say ideia, idea, ideia. Item, we also write the same, but we say item. Always going to sound like I. You see how easy it is? Imagem, ímpar. And now about the ending of this word, the G. In some words, G is going to sound like G, and in some, they are going to sound like J. If you have GI, it's going to sound like J. Gi, dirigir, girar, gigante. So you have GI, you say G. And last but not least, dirigir is a word that it's in its infinitive form, which means that it's ending with IR and you are going to use after particular verbs, or you are going to use that as a noun. But what I want to talk about is pronunciation. So when you have a verb in their infinitive form, the last syllable is stressed and the R is silent. So you don't say dirigir, you say dirigir. You don't say treinar, you say treinar. You don't say cozinhar, you say cozinhar. Now challenge yourself. Find a song that you enjoy in Portuguese and pay attention to these specific details. How they are pronounced at the end, how the D sounds, how the G sounds, how the R sounds. And afterwards, let me know which things you found similar or different, and I may tell you why. Sometimes it depends on the accent. Some things don't depend on the accent. GI doesn't depend on the accent. Dirigir, it's always going to be G. It can be dirigir, but not dirigir. No. And also the R in this case will not change, and the I will not change independent on the region of Brazil. That's it for today, and don't forget to schedule your Portuguese lessons. Muito obrigada por assistir. Tchau!